Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's meeting of Town of Oakville's Committee of Adjustment. This is a meeting to consider applications for minor variance and consents that is held under the authority of the Planning Act of Ontario. Please keep in mind the intent of our process this evening is to review that proposal that's before us, listen to all the evidence, and then make a decision. This process is not intended to be used to resolve any concerns or disputes that may exist between the town individuals or any other organization. If a request for a deferral is made this evening and the committee grants such a request, our committee, after consultation with our Secretary Treasurer, will set a new hearing date. No further notice will be provided unless there are any changes to the application. In order to conduct an effective and efficient hearing, we've adopted the following process. The owner or authorized agent will be given the opportunity, if so desired, to briefly explain to us the basis of the application and answer any questions that may arise at the hearing. A maximum of 5 minutes will be provided for this presentation. You need to state your full name and address for the record. Any material submitted to the committee for viewing will remain the property of this committee, and any submissions beyond the allocated 5 minutes will be at the discretion of this committee. All persons attending the hearing this evening who wish to support or oppose the application must also state their full name and address for the record. A maximum of 5 minutes will be provided to make your presentation. All remarks and questions are to be directed to the chair of this committee. Any submissions, again, beyond the 5 minutes will be at the discretion of this committee. If there are several speakers that share the same view, we ask that you elect a spokesperson to present the group's combined opinion. We want to hear all the views, however, calling the same points doesn't advance our ability to make a quicker decision. The owner or agent will then be provided with a further 5 minutes to respond to comments made by any interested parties and answer any questions from the committee members. If the owner or agent has any concerns found in the staff report, particularly with any of the proposed conditions, this will be your opportunity to advise us. The matter will then be taken to a committee for a decision, and this will mark the end of all discussions. Once our committee makes an oral decision, any person desiring a copy must file with the Secretary Treasurer at this meeting a written request for notice of decision. We provided a green sheet in the back on the table that we ask that you fill out and leave with us before you depart the meeting tonight. Please note that you must make a written request in order to be included on the list that is used by the Ontario Municipal Board for the giving of any subsequent notice of any appeal. Written notice of the committee's decision will be mailed not later than 10 days for minor variance and 15 days for any consent to the owner, the applicant, or any other agent or person who's asked for a written request of such notice. If you do not agree with the committee's decision, you may appeal this to the Ontario Municipal Board. The last date to appeal the decision to the Ontario Municipal Board will be noted on the decision itself. If no appeal is received within the prescribed time frame, the decision of our committee becomes final and binding. The Secretary Treasurer will then notify the applicant through further written correspondence. People attending this committee meeting are to be courteous to and respectful to the members of the committee, town staff, and other people in attendance tonight. Please note tonight's meeting will be live streamed and available for future viewing on the town's live stream webpage, oakville.ca/live. We ask that all cellular phones and pages be switched off during the duration of this meeting. They tend to interfere with our audio system. I know there's another meeting tonight taking place, so this is the Committee of Adjustment. If someone's here for a different meeting, you're welcome to attend. I think it's in down the corridor. I saw a few people that left for that other meeting. So, okay. So having said that, there are no regrets tonight. We have a full, all members are here. Is there anyone that has a declaration of any pecuniary interest? Seeing none? Okay. Is there anyone here this evening that wishes to either defer or withdraw an application? Defer or withdraw an application. Good evening, sir. Name and address for the record.
Yes, good evening. My name is Bill Otrid. Work address is 2140 Winston Park, Oakville, Ontario.
What application are you here for, sir?
A189 2016 is the application at 387 Watson Avenue.
Okay.
And we'd like to request a short deferral. It will allow us to do some minor alterations to the plans, the site plan in particular, to facilitate only removing one tree and I think that should help with the planning comments.
All right, let's see if there's anyone here this evening that has an interest in application CAVA 189-2016 at 387 Watson Avenue. Okay, there's no one here. Okay, members, are you content with the request to defer? I see everyone is nodding in the affirmative. When can this matter come back on the agenda?
The earliest date is January 17th.
It's going to be a whole year.
I was hoping for December 20th. I spoke with Heather today, and she mentioned that it was likely possible.
If you are ready to submit tomorrow everything, then you can go, but if you are not ready for tomorrow, then January 17th.
Tomorrow by 4:30?
Yes.
Okay, we can accommodate that.
Okay, just before we rush to it, so you've seen the staff comments
Yes.
on it, and have you had the ability to approach staff and speak to them and see if there's, so you've done all that already?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so as a result of the staff report on this matter, you've had the ability to consult staff, and you're prepared to revise your plans based on that discussion?
Yes.
Or at least to the ability, to the extent you can?
It's the best we can, yes.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So let's leave it on this basis. If you can meet the 4:30 deadline, I think the commitment is to have you on the agenda of December 20th. If not, then you're into the next year,
Okay.
into the first meeting of next year. And we'll leave it entirely in your hands.
enough.
There will be new notice on this because it will be a revised application. And then we'll get it on either before the end of the year or slightly after.
Okay,
Okay, thank you. So this matter is deferred, CAVA 189-2016.
thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to defer or withdraw an application? Okay, so we'll start off with the first application, CAVA 187-2016 at 533 Carson Lane.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and member of committees. My name is Babak Naqash. I'm the owner of 533 Carson Lane, and I'm proposing a new two-story home for myself on this vacant lot. I'm here to seek your approval on the below variances.
So Mr. Babak Naghash, is it?
Yes.
Thank you. Just before you proceed, let's see if there's anyone here that has an interest in the application CAVA 187-2016. Okay. All right, so then we invite you to proceed with the presentation. As you probably determined from the staff report, there's support for some but not all the variances, so
Yes.
if you can proceed with the presentation, we'll give you 5 minutes.
Okay, we are, the first variances would be the garage. I utilized the part of the basement for the garage, so with just a single door car garage door, driving with the ramp going to the basement. That's why we have requesting for the additional square meter for the garage in the basement. The second variance would be additional GFA for one guest room on the main floor for my elderly parents, which they're visiting me from overseas. The third one would be a setback, the setback of the covered porch, which is I'm requesting for a release of bylaw to 6.6 meter rather than 7.5 meter. The fourth one would be a balcony to the back of the house, a small balcony from the master bedroom. And the fifth one would be the height of 9.5 meter in lieu of 9 meter. This is a very unique lot. The lot used to be a tennis court, basketball court / hockey rink, belonged to formerly 55 Howard Avenue. And it's about 4 feet or 1.2 meter below the street level. So we went to the extensive design with the grading design with the city to bring this lot higher. So the 9.5 meter is from established grade, which is lower than the street level, about lower than street level. So basically, we are looking for 0.5 meter additional, so we can get 10 feet main floor height and 9 feet second floor height with a low pitch roof of 4 to 12. If you look at the elevation, you will see the established grade is 1.2 meter below the grade, the existing, the grade which is a street level. In reality, in the house was going to be built, it would be 9.5 meter from the future grade minus 1.2 meter. So the actual height of the house would be 8.1 meters high. So we're seeking for this variance as well.
So you're saying the actual height is 8.5 meters?
Yes, it would be 8.1 meter from the grade, because the lot, can I show it
Yes,
to you guys?
show us. So you're saying because of the grade differential at the front of the lot?
Yes, is it placed on, okay.
Okay,
Okay, if you see the lot, that's the street level, is above the lot. The lot is lower, way lower than the street level. It's about average to 3 to 5 feet to the back of the lot. And most of the water from north side, which is from Lakeshore, all the properties draining to this lot and becoming like a pool. So basically we designed, we're gonna regrade this lot, bring it higher to a street level. And we designed a new pipe, a storm pipe from the back of the property to the street level. So the established grade on this property is where the black fence are, which is lower than the street level. So the reference height won't allow us to have 10 feet and 9 feet, 10 feet main floor, 9 feet second floor, and with the low pitch roof of 4 to 12. So we would like to have this release.
any questions at the moment? Okay, sir, if you just have a seat nearby, we're going to invite those that showed an interest to come forward and speak to the committee. I saw some, yes, whoever would like to come down first.
Okay, my name is Anya Dunning. I live at 67 Howard Avenue.
And Dunning?
Dunning, yeah. Anya, A-N-Y-A, Dunning, D-U-N-N-I-G. My address is 67 Howard Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
And my property will face the back of 533 Carson. It sort of overlaps. And so along with a number of my neighbors, we strongly object to, obviously, the fourth request for a variance for a second floor balcony that will directly look into our backyard. That's what we consider an invasion of privacy. Some of us have small children, we have whatever going on in our backyards, and so because of that, overlooking into several several houses, we don't feel that that's an appropriate variance to be granted. The other concern we have, and I'm not sure if this is the time to discuss it, is obviously the property is, they are expecting to regrade that property. And as the owner had mentioned, there is an underground stream that does go from Lakeshore all the way down that property. It is underneath everybody's property with the exception of the tennis court. Now I know there looks like there's plans to regrade up 4 feet, but in the plans there's no indication of how that grade follows onto all of the neighboring properties, right? Because everything sort of slopes downhill, that if that is brought up above the property, the grade level of my property and the properties behind me, you're gonna then have a problem where you're gonna have water pooling because it's gonna come back onto our properties. Does that make sense?
Well, generally, we understand the engineering principle that water flows downhill.
Yeah.
But having said that, there is a permit process that is required to be followed in the town of Oakville and most other jurisdictions. When you alter a site, you have to ensure that it doesn't affect the budding sites. So those things are looked at.
By a different committee or by a different
No, not a
group?
committee, by a different engineering section in the town of Oakville.
Okay.
Through what is called a site alteration permit.
Okay.
So we have no doubt that what you're saying is correct, but there's probably engineering solutions and ways to deal with it.
Okay, because it just wasn't clear, because of course that affects, you know, the
Oh,
height
yeah,
of the
for
house.
sure. It does, it really
Okay.
does. I mean, you know, as someone, it's a bathtub, right?
Yes,
You put more or less, and that affects everyone downstream, so those are looked at in quite extensive engineering. So if I can summarize your concerns, other than the engineering concern you brought to our attention, and I think the applicant understands that as well. Your main opposition is to the balcony on the second floor.
yes,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you very much for your submissions. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the committee? Okay. Sir, welcome to come back. As you know, staff as well don't support the balcony on the second floor.
Yes.
And they don't
Just-
support the height, but I think you've given us some rationale for the height variance. Now, can you, there's a suggestion that the height is different than the heights generally in the area. Have you had the opportunity to assess more or less the building heights in the area? Are they all,
Yes,
are
would-
they all in the same range?
Yeah, I will be average height. I will be lower than Chartwell houses. I just want to show you the Chartwell house, which is overlooking to my backyard, which is higher than mine. This is the house which is looking over my backyard, and it has a huge balcony looking at my backyard. This is
Right, those were built under a different zoning bylaw, as you know.
It went through the
balcony-
committee adjustment, and they got it
well, the balcony prohibitions were put into the
Yes.
bylaw
recently.
on February 14, 2014.
Yes, this is after. Basically, the house, this is my property, 533. And this 58 Chartwell, that's the house I show you the picture from his backyard. And Anya property, which would be 67, which is this one, which is, yeah. I have the support of the two other neighbor for the balcony. And this is your,
Want to file those letters with us? So the two other neighbors being which ones?
it would be 58 Chartwell
Yes?
and 42 Chartwell.
Okay. 42 wouldn't be affected by a balcony,
Yes,
right?
correct. He has, he generally support all the
Sure.
variances.
Okay. Any further submissions? Okay, thank you. Is there any questions? Mr. Mark Charlebois?
I've just got one question for planning, if I might. Just to put you on the spot with the very first one. It's always difficult when we get drawings like this, and we get a submission, and then, then all of a sudden, new information sort of comes up that in fact, the reason the applicant's looking for a height variance is because of grading situations. I don't know if you're in a position to comment on that or not. I mean, the only comment that's in the staff report is that feeling was the height was too great, so there's no connection there at all.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm not entirely sure.
Mr. Charles, I don't know if your microphone's on.
Try this one. then.
There it is.
There we
It's
go.
on now.
Through you, Mr. Chair. The information that's provided to staff that we look at is what we see in the application itself. In terms of the information that the applicant or the homeowner is bringing forward, I'm not sure honestly if Ms. Mahalich was able to incorporate that into her thoughts. Obviously, when the variance comes forward, what we're looking at is what is provided in the zoning, and what is put forward as part of the application. If the established grade is identified and that's the measurement, that's what staff are evaluating against. Obviously, look at what is also in the neighborhood, and that factors into it as well. All of that said, given that the site is depressed in this sense, should committee choose to approve it, as the chair identified, we would be looking at that through a site alteration process to identify what engineering requirements would be involved.
Correct. You would need a site alteration permit whether or not variance, for example, 5 was approved on a height. Any construction on the site to put a building will require a site alteration permit. Okay. So just to be clear, the height is measured at the front of the property line at established grade?
Yes, yes.
And the
it's,
grade in the front is,
basically, let
yeah,
me
so if
explain-
you can show it on the
Yeah,
site plan
let me
there.
explain you, like, can you, the light just,
Yeah, we'll dim it for you.
okay, basically, this property, I'll just give you the history of that. I have 3 minutes, okay. This property was separated from 55 Howard
Right.
before in 99.
Yes?
So part of the road widening, they took 5 feet off of this property.
Okay,
So this property has a slope going down off of the street, as I showed you in the photos. So the they measured the height from this point, this grade, right there, to the top of the roof.
so from that point, which
That
is
point-
higher,
Yes, which
to
is
the roof.
way lower than the street level. So we are regrading whole this property to bring it up. This street, these two, they building two houses
so what's the
here.
differential again? What's the differential between that point you showed us and the
From
street?
the street, center of the street, from here
Yes?
to there, average about.
No, to the front of the property line.
This one is at least probably like 2 feet or like 0.6
So that's
meter.
effectively the range of the variance you're looking for.
Yes, yes, and these two property, they building 1 and 2 property here. The grade is higher than me because the Howard sloping down to Carson, to Chartwell. So basically, the second floor of those houses, like a first floor is overlooking on my second floor of my building.
Okay, gotcha. Any questions? Okay, thank you, sir. We'll take
Thank
this
you.
matter into committee now, and we'll issue a decision. Who would like to move a recommendation to get the discussion started? So we did have a written submission from owners at 52 Chartwell Road opposing all the variances, with emphasis on no balconies, please. Okay, so who would like to move a recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to move a recommendation for discussion.
Thank you, Ms. McHale.
Having heard the submission of the applicant as well as the neighbors and staff report, I'm prepared to move a motion to approve variances 1, 2, 3, and 5, given that the site is subject to site plan approval and any issues with water base and flow will be dealt with. And given the applicant's submission of his need for this slight variance to accommodate the conditions on the lot, I will move a recommendation to approve these conditions, taking into account the submissions of the neighbors as well as the association letter. And I will recommend that we deny or remove variance number 4, which prohibits balconies, given the outlook and the lack of privacy that it does portray to the neighbors.
Okay, so you're recommending approval of variances, save and accept variance number 4, which you find doesn't meet the 4 test?
Yes.
Okay, and subject to the 2 conditions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, subject to our
proposed dwelling
standard
be
condition
constructed-
that the approval will expire within 2 years from the date of the decision if the proposed development has not proceeded and/or a building permit not issued, and subject to the conditions stated in
proposed-
staff report that it be built according to
The
Yeah.
proposed dwelling be constructed in accordance with the final approved site plan to the satisfaction of the Director of Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's the one, okay. Okay, discussion and recommendation? Seeing none, all those in support? Those opposed? Seeing none? Okay, sir, your application is being approved, save and accept variance number 4, which is refused.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay, we'll proceed to application CAVA 190-2016. This is the property at 39 Osborne Crescent. Is the owner, agent, applicant here for CAV A 190-2016, 39 Osborne Crescent?
Yes, hi. I'm Reg Freethy from J.R. Freethy Architect. I was asked by Paul Doherty to represent him here tonight as he's called away on business. So the primary reason that what we are seeking is a reduction in the front yard setback to 5.95 meters. And that is primarily to allow them to expand their master bedroom and their living room towards the Osborne Crescent. The adjacent lot at 37 Osborne has a prior variance granted of 6.094 meters. We're requesting permission to go 144 millimeters closer to the street than that. The property 2 houses down to the west is in a similar situation. And then the other houses, I have a drawing here which hopefully will come up on screen.
Did we get your full name and address for the record?
My apologies. Reg Freethy. The company is J.R. Freethy Architect, 5 Silver Street, Bowmanville, Ontario.
So spell the last name?
Freethy.
Okay. Did you get that? Okay, thank you. All right, you were going to show us there?
Yes, so this parcel over here, the variance was granted. Their house was essentially similar to Paul and his wife's. So they added an addition to the front where they expanded their porch and the living room and master bedroom. And this area here, the shaded area, is the expansion area that we're proposing for the Doherty property. And so the reduction at the closest to the street would be 5.95 meters. And they're at 6.094. Down here at the street, the average goes down to 7.11 meters, 7.72 at the present time. And my understanding is they're allowed to reduce that by an additional meter under the current zoning bylaw. The height of the house would be in full compliance with the current zoning. Lot coverage, we're underneath the 43% maximum. The windows and fenestration are primarily being enlarged on the street facade. So the master bedroom and living room windows are not looking into the neighbors' yards. They're facing the street frontage. At the rear of the house, they have existing 2 small bedrooms. So the house is maintaining the 3 bedrooms that it currently has, just expanding master bath and master bedroom. Paul's about the same age as me. They have 2 smaller rooms just for the adult children when they come home, and they're proposing a garage in the rear yard, although we're with conformance with the zoning there. So the decision that we're seeking is relief on the front yard setback.
Sir, where is the zoning bylaw setback required? Can you show us on that diagram that you have there?
Yes, it's this line here.
So that's the requirement, and the existing is the end of the yellow?
That's correct.
And then you're proposing to take it out to the end of the gray?
Yes.
Okay. So you show 4 buildings on that. Is there more to the other, to the right or left? I can't see.
This here
No,
is
no,
the
no, no, you
expansion.
showed lot 232, 234. Is there more? you
No,
pull
this
your
is
sheet
all
over
the
a bit?
information that we have available.
Okay, gotcha.
There's this
All
one
right.
here.
So the suggestion in the staff report is that this is not sort of the streetscape elements found in the neighborhood. You know, there's the setback requirements are pretty uniform, save and except, I guess, lot 31. All others appear to be in the same range.
Yes, and the client would be prepared to reduce the 144 millimeters if the adjacent 6.094 criteria was acceptable.
Well, hang on, you threw a lot of numbers at me. What is he prepared to do?
To reduce it to 6.094s,
Six?
6.094 as opposed to the 5.95.
Oh my God, we're going down to 3 decimal points now?
My apologies, it's our CAD system. Yes.
It just matches the last variance that was granted.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm, that's what we heard.
So the intent would be to match number 37 with respect to setback.
That would be lot 233?
That's correct.
Okay, any
Sorry.
questions? Okay, is there anyone here that has an interest in application CAVA 190-2016 at 39 Osborne Crescent? Okay, seeing none. All right, members, last chance, any questions? Okay, sir, anything you wish to add further? We're gonna take this back
We
to
did
committee.
receive copies of letters from the 2 neighbors.
Sure, let's have those. And they are at which side?
Each side of the property,
On either side?
yes. Now, this one is from 37 Osborne.
So you have a letter of support from 37.
Two others?
Yeah, there's another one that's missing, because what we have here is authority for you to represent
Oh,
Mr.
my
Doherty.
apologies.
I think there's another letter, you need that one. So we have 37 Osborne Crescent, and you said you had the neighbor on the other side
Sorry, we have one from Mark and Susan Johnston here.
at 43?
Says 47.
47.
And we have one for 43 as well from,
Okay, can you file those with us, please?
sorry, I've gotten a little confused now in the numbers.
Yeah, we'll get them for you in a minute.
Okay.
So we have letters of support from 37 Osborne Crescent, letters of support from, well, 43 Osborne Crescent and 47. So 47, 43, and 37, and 39, I mean. Nope, I'm sorry. Yeah, so we have letters of support. Let me recap that again. From 37 Osborne Crescent, who was the owner that received variance for the reduced front yard. Letter of support from the owners of 43 Osborne Crescent, and letter of support from 47 Osborne Crescent. Generally saying the same thing, and I'll pass those along for your viewing. Okay, we'll take this back to committee, sir. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Mr. Charles, it might be a little bit unfair. Does the movement of the front yard setback to 6.094 change the essence of the recommendations in the report?
If I was following all the math, Mr. Chair, I think the reduction was rather slight, about a meter or so. I think the reasons outlined in Ms. Malich's report are still valid.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll take this into committee. Who would like to move a recommendation on this application? Mr. Talowski, looks like you're ready to raise your hand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'm actually going to move that the amended application to permit a minimum front yard setback of 6.094 meters be approved. I find that, well, he's got the support of the neighbors on each side, so the neighbors don't see that there's an impact. Having viewed the property, the setback, not only is it consistent with the property immediately to the east, it would appear to be consistent with all the properties to the east until you get to the corner. And the zoning in this category, which sets the minimum setback at the existing minus a meter, when you look further to the west, if any other houses have renovation, get rebuilt, they're going to be allowed to come another meter closer to the street and bring those in greater consistency with what we're seeing at the east end of this street. So on that basis, Mr. Chair, I do find that this variance meets the four tests of the Planning Act and would move its approval subject to the applicant providing revised drawings to reflect the change in the front yard setback, and that a building permit issue within 2 years.
Mr. Talowski, on that first recommendation, we typically require, if there's an approval, that these plans be filed by no later than Friday.
Take
so
that
are
as
you-
a friendly amendment.
So are you prepared, you're saying subject to the condition that the approval be substantially in accordance with amended plans to show a 6.094 setback? Okay. So just for the record, we have a revised application for the minimum front yard setback request of 6.094, and we will require plans if this is approved. So any discussion on recommendation? Seeing none, all those in support? No one opposed. Okay, so the application's been approved, subject to those two conditions, sir. We need these plans revised. Do you have a set of revised plans with you that shows 6.094 setback?
I can manually do that, or we can have this emailed to the municipality first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay, that's what we'd like you to do. Have them properly redrafted to show the 6.094 and send them by email in, and that would be sufficient.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you. Your
Okay, thank you.
application's been approved. Okay, application CAVA 191 2016 at 401 Sandalwood Road. The applicant, owner, agent here?
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Jerzy Rabianski, Jerry Rabianski, and I will be representing the owner of 401 Sandalwood Road.
Good evening, sir. Let's just see. Anyone have an interest in an application CAVA 191 2016 at 401 Sandalwood Road? Okay, we'd like you to proceed with the presentation, sir. As you know, of the three variances, at least staff are recommending variance number 2 satisfies the test. The other two do not. So,
Sorry, can you repeat that?
so staff are recommending that variance number 2, from their perspective, satisfies all 4 tests, and variance 1 and 3 does not.
Okay.
Okay, so, and you have some hands here with some concerns, so we'll require a presentation and we'll start the clock.
Okay. We feel that the, I guess, 4.01 in the permitted maximum gross floor area is minor in nature. It's only 4.1%. When the owner actually purchased the property, they were unaware of the limitations. of the zoning for this property. And when we did the plans, they required this much space to accommodate rooms within the house for their needs. In case of number 3, we are willing to reduce this number, but it is only 0.45 meters above the maximum height, and from the street, there won't really be any negative impact on the neighborhood from our perspective, but we are willing to go down on that number slightly.
Sir, you have to tell us what it is you're planning to do, because we're not a committee of negotiations, it's a committee of adjustment.
Well, in terms of number 2, we were willing to remove that, the second one, but that doesn't really make a difference in this case since I think that meets the 4 tests. So if I can, how do I show the drawings or where?
Yes, you see where it says the label, place document? If you place a document
okay.
there, now we get to keep your iPad.
So, sorry. Okay. So this is the first floor elevation. So in the basement, we're not increasing, or we're not proposing any, I guess, living space or anything like that. So this is the basement plan. So I'll just go to the first floor area, which is it's not, I guess, the largest home. It does, have a formal dining room, and the kitchen is right behind it, and it only has a formal living room. There is no family room in this space, so there's only 3 major spaces within the first floor, and they're in behind the. This is the garage. So behind the garage, there's a very small mudroom, which just has basically a sink and a small closet. So within the first floor, we don't think that it's a very big space, or bigger than, I guess, any house. And with in regards to the second floor, it's a 4-bedroom home with decent room sizes. There isn't anything spectacular on the second floor, and we as you can see above the formal living room in the first floor, we don't have any area of living space in that space there. So I guess in terms of the size of the house, we'd have to almost reduce it to a 3-bedroom in this case to comply with the variance. And my client needs 4 bedrooms to accommodate their family. So that's kind of our position on the floor area. In regards to the height, we are willing to reduce the height if that's a major concern by the committee.
Okay. Any questions? Mr. Mark Charlebois?
Sir, I just want to drag your attention, the comments of staff were basically twofold. What they're saying is, with the height of the building and the increased size, you're creating a massing that's out of context with the houses in the neighborhood. You've gone through a description of the house, and it's a fine house. There's nothing wrong with it. But the real question that the municipality is trying to deal with is, this house is going to look too big for the lot in comparison to all your neighbors, and you just failed to address that, and I just want to give you a chance to respond.
Okay, so yeah, that's fine. Okay, so in regards to massing, we will reduce the height. So from the front, there won't be any change in the massing, and as well within the side yards, we do comply with the side yard setbacks, and we do comply with the rear yard setbacks. So initially, this house, in terms of massing from all sides of the neighbors, comply. Because we do comply, so essentially we could have a long house on each side of the abutting neighbors, and the massing would still be within the zoning. So potentially it's just the interior of the house, which no one is really affected in the gross floor area. So in taking out variance number 3, I think that should satisfy, I think, the
this
massing
is, I
from,
wanted to ask you this because you're keeping us in suspense here. You've now said you're gonna deal with the height, but you haven't told us how. So are you proposing to
Yeah,
eliminate variance 3
yeah.
altogether?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so you want to revise your application by eliminating variance 3?
Correct.
Okay, so we're now dealing with a revised application that deals only with variance 1 and 2. Or did you also say earlier?
Yeah,
that-
we will be removing variance number 2, so we will be complying with the minimum 9.01.
So we're down to
Setback.
variance number 1 only. So
Yes.
your application's been revised to request a variance to the maximum residential gross floor area only.
Correct.
Okay, well, that's helpful to understand the context of what we're now analyzing. Thank you. Is there any follow-up questions as a result of that? Okay, so your submission is that you feel the massing is appropriate because you meet all the setback requirements, all the height requirements, and the internal space required for a 4-bedroom.
Yes, from all angles of, anywhere you look at the house, the massing will be within the, within the zoning, so there isn't really any issue in terms of, affecting the neighborhood in a negative way, we feel.
Okay, any final questions? Okay, so, okay, have a seat there, and then we'll invite you to come back once we hear from neighbors had their concern. Okay, I don't know if you sort of followed what took place. We're only dealing with 1 variance now, and that's for the gross, or the
Well,
residential
I do
floor
have
area.
one question regarding that, though.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
like
by
if
all
he
means, I
says he
just wanted to make
eliminates,
sure, I
he
just wanted to
eliminates
make
the
sure you
reason for
understand.
variance, does that mean the front porch is being removed from the building? Like, the reason for that 1 variance in the front was because he was putting a front porch, covered porch? Does that mean the covered porch is now being removed from the building?
Well, so just
Because
so
then
we
there's a whole new
understand.
set of drawings
Yeah,
have
no,
to
we'll
be
get
done.
you answered the question, but we're not dealing with a height, and we're not dealing with the front yard variance.
No, I'm dealing, okay, then strictly
Okay,
for me,
so
it's
if
the
the front,
mass.
if the front yard variance went to the covered porch, then I don't have an answer for it, but I just want to make sure that, you understand what we're dealing with, and that's the massing of the building in terms of residential floor area ratio. So you have a question in regards to?
The mass, the amount of the yard it's taking up, and the encroachment and the privacy I'm losing because of that. I'm at 405 Scarsdale, which is the property
Okay.
directly to the
Yes.
north.
So we start off by asking for your name first.
William Hale Sanders.
William Hale
Sanders.
Sanders.
H-A-L-E hyphen S-A-N-D-E-R-S.
And you're at Scarsdale.
405 Scarsdale.
405 Scarsdale. Okay. So now we sort of had a little bit of understanding of your concern. That's massing, taking up more. Anything else you like to add, sir?
There's mass and the fact that up to this point, I have a view out of my back window. A limited view, I admit, because there is a house there, but if he builds to his mass, I will have no view but of a wall or a window actually looking into my window.
So you're on the north side.
Yes.
Can I just pop in there, Mr. Chairman? Just to,
Sorry, you have a question, Mr. Charlebois?
well, I just, again, just wanted to clarify, based on the changes the gentleman put forward here, he's now building his building within the legal permitted envelope.
But there's,
Which, and I'm looking at his maximum lot coverage, he can go up to 35%, he's only at 29%. And he's within all the setbacks, so technically, to be honest with you, he could actually push his building back even further than he has and still comply, and there'd be nothing that we could say about it.
nothing we can do about that.
So what we're really dealing with is somehow, in terms of the design, he's managed to incorporate, while still staying within this envelope, he's managed to incorporate some more square footage in that. We have to determine whether that additional square footage meets the criteria.
And then what we, is there anything to deal with the tree canopy at this type of meeting, or is like strictly another?
Well, by all means, it's
Currently, the lot is probably 50% tree canopy, and they would lose probably 100% of that.
I don't know how to respond to that. anytime you develop and you provide something different, there's always impacts. It's a question of balancing and mitigation. So, Mr. Charles, is there a tree replacement or a permit process required for private trees? Would you know the answer to that?
I'll take a stab at it, Mr. Chair. I believe that that would be looked at through a site alteration.
Right, so they probably need to do a tree assessment, determine the quality and quantity of trees, depending on the DBH, the height at certain level, and determine the species, and then come to some conclusion as to what can be removed, what can be transplanted. And but for sure that whenever there's development on a lot that's covered by canopy, there will be impacts if you want to project beyond the existing.
Because in that particular neighborhood, as all of Oakville, the emerald
Yes.
ash borer has just gone through and decimated us. And we've
Yes.
all lost 4 and 5 trees per property.
Correct.
To emerald ash borer, so the fact that we lose another 4 mature trees just.
Okay, any questions? Thank you for your
Thank
time,
you.
sir. Who else would like to speak to the committee?
Mr. Chair, I'm at 407 Scarsdale, which is to the east.
Right.
So our backyards join. So the bulk of my backyard.
And your name, sir?
Steve Lewis,
Steve.
Lewis.
Okay, thank you.
I guess
Mr.
my
Lewis.
concern was the variance, number one, in increasing the size of the structure on the lot. I wasn't understanding of how far back and how large a structure it would be, because all of the neighboring houses are all smaller homes. And the way my lot is situated, my usable backyard space, because of the direction of my home, is basically runs the entire length of the lot that we're speaking of, that the variance has been applied for. So my concern was the height and the size of the building, which was why I was here this evening. I understand the height has now been addressed. I guess it's more a question of him being, is what he's put forth within the guidelines of how far back the structure will be built and how high. Because there's a bedroom essentially that looks directly down into my yard on the second floor. So that was my main concern. Thank you.
But I'm assuming the same bedrooms exist at 405, 397, maybe even 391. I mean, when you have backyards to backyard relationships, you always have bedrooms looking at each other.
No, because the house is set a lot further back, the house that's there now.
Right, so there is no front yard setback required, there's no side yard, there's no rear yard. So the envelope in terms of side yards, in terms of proximity to others, is within the bylaw.
That's why. So I just didn't know, because he had applied to extend the size of the building, right? So I just didn't know how that would affect. That's the reason that I was here, to make sure that that building didn't protrude into the backyard further than it is allowed to. You
So
understand?
bylaws are tricky because you have coverage, which is how much of the lot you can cover with a building. They have gross floor area maximums, they have setbacks, they have heights, and it creates this volume of space. You can meet the coverage and the building setbacks, but you still need a variance on the gross floor area because you want to put it more than what the bylaw allows, which is the case here. But you can still remain within the coverage and the zone and the setback requirements and the height.
Okay.
So, we have to address all those.
I can appreciate that. I'm sure you can appreciate where I was coming from
Yes.
when I see that he's going higher than he's allowed, and I didn't know what that meant as far as the size of the building. My concern is that my lot is directly, I'm going to be looking at a huge monster house that currently there's none of those surrounding us. Do you know what I mean?
So generally, the reduction, the elimination of the height variance and the elimination of the yard setback generally proceeds in the right direction in your view?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, question for Mr.
Again,
Mark
just
Charlevoix.
looking at the envelope, because I just happen to have it in front of me, I mean, he could actually move that building about 21 feet closer to you than where it is and still comply.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
he's
which I
pushed-
wasn't aware of.
Basically, he's pushed the building as far forward as he can, given
I
as
understand.
big a backyard as he can.
Yeah, so it was more a lack of not understanding that.
Okay. No, that's
Thank,
fair.
thank you.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think you created these stats on your own, Mr. Charlotte. Well, unfortunately, the applicant has not provided that level of stats to appreciate that. And perhaps one of the things that we need to look at is to ask for those type of details to assist neighbors that are looking at plans online. Anyone else wishing to speak to application CAVA 191-2016 at 401 Sandalwood Road? Sir? Anything you wish to add? You heard the submission from the two gentlemen.
Well, in regards to the tree canopy, there was one of their concerns. We're only proposing one tree to be removed, which is, if you
Zoom
I don't know
out?
if- Yeah. Well,
The
okay.
other way?
The other way. Oh, I'm just looking up there. Okay.
Where-
So there's just one tree in the rear. So all the trees in the front yard are proposed to be protected and retained. The only tree which is not possible to be retained is this one right there. And so the tree canopy will be pretty much staying as it is, minus that one tree in the rear.
Okay. Any questions of the agent? Seeing none, thank you, sir. We'll take this matter to committee. So, members, we're dealing with a revised application that only requires a variance. Number 1, 2, and 3 have been removed. Mr. Charles, anything you wish to add, or pretty well the report still sticks? Thank you. Okay, who would like to move a recommendation? Mr. Charlevoix?
Mr. Chairman, having visited the site and read the report as well as the new information that was presented here in terms of reducing the number of variances and eliminating number 2 and number 3, as well as listening to the concerns of the public, in looking at this particular thing, and I look at the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and one of the things I do note here is that the coverage on the site at 30 permitted 35% down to 29% is still very generous. The applicant is right in that he is conforming with the various setbacks. So what he's managing to do is he's managed to find some square footage while still playing within the building envelope. So I find that the application does meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I'm going to make a recommendation that this application be approved. Subject to, just want to check here. So subject to our 2 standard conditions, that the approval will expire 2 years from the date of this decision, the proposed development does not proceed, and I'm a little bit leery on how to deal with the bit about the drawings, since we've actually
Well,
have a
yes,
reduction
just like
here.
we did with the last one, if this
Okay.
recommendation is approved, we require that to be sent electronically tomorrow.
Then I will put forward that as
The
the
amended
other
application
condition,
to, yeah.
subject to the condition that revised drawings be submitted to this committee by end of day tomorrow.
Well, I don't think we need that as a condition. All we need to say is, I'll deal with that at the end, but your recommendation is to approve the application that eliminates the height variance and the setback requirement, only deal with the gross floor area variance.
But the drawings should be.
Yeah, we'll get the
should
drawings
be
tomorrow.
approved, though, by the Director of Planning, should they not?
No, there's no site plan required on this.
Okay. I'll take your advice on
Okay,
that.
so the recommendation, those 2 recommendations? Yes, the second condition as well, with the revised plans as submitted, yes, and the second condition is a 2-year permit. Any discussion on the recommendation?
Just for my edification, what stops the applicant from redesigning other aspects of the building and still complying, and we haven't had a chance to review that? I mean, I can see approving these drawings with a reduction in height. I appreciate
Well,
that, but
well, then the only other way to deal with it is to defer it until we get those drawings and do it again.
can we not make the drawings, so there's no one at the town that could approve them?
The approved drawings? They would go through the secretary, our secretary treasurer for review.
Okay, all right.
It's the way we've dealt with it in the past. Discussion on the recommendation? Seeing none, all those in support? No one opposed, your application's been approved. Sir, here's what you have to do. In the future, I don't remember you appearing before the committee, but you have to give us a summary sheet. We're gonna make this a requirement for every applicant that shows what the bylaw requires, what you're proposing, and what's being varied, so we can follow and track it to assist everyone understand the application. Like, for example, you heard some of the other parameters that are not being varied. It would be helpful to know that. And we need your revised drawings by tomorrow.
Okay, that's fine.
You have the email of our secretary treasurer?
I do.
Yes, you're going to eliminate variants 2 and 3,
Yes, I will.
and no other changes?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll proceed to application CABA 192, 2016 at 132 Calder Drive.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. My name is Ian Robertson. I'm the agent and acting on behalf of the owner for this property at 132 Calder Drive, sorry.
Is it Robinson or Robertson?
Robertson.
Robertson. Thank you,
Correct.
Mr. Robertson. Okay, looks like we need a presentation on this one as well.
Yes. So the planning department has provided support for variances 1 and 3,
Yes.
and they are opposed to variances 2, 4, and 5. 4 and 5 are the same in height variance, so I'll address them at the same time.
Okay.
For the coverage number, the dwelling itself is a box-on-box design, and with that, it doesn't allow for a reduced second floor.
What kind of, what is it?
A box-on-box, frame-on-frame.
Oh, frame on frame, okay.
And that doesn't allow for the reduced second floor area. Otherwise, we'd have sloped ceilings and such that my client's not interested in. He doesn't like the look of that. So we've built over top of the outside walls to create the look and aesthetics that my client wishes to have. With that, we've come up with a coverage, not a coverage, a gross floor area of 34.7%. When we came to that conclusion, those numbers, it was through research in the area to see what had previously been granted on a number of houses to find that we were in keeping with what the standards are for the area. There's a couple of houses at 152 and 116 Calder that have been before you guys for variances.
152 and?
116.
So you got to give us a bit more specific because they may have been built under a different era, different zoning bylaw.
Sorry, 116 Calder Drive is 4 doors down one direction, and then 152 is 2 doors down the other direction on our street. 152 went through the minor variance process back in 2011, and 116 Calder went through the minor variance application back in 2014. I don't have the month specific to those dates. Calder Avenue 116, they requested gross floor areas, maximum floor area of 37.53% as a total for the property. The house itself was 34.84% just for the house, garages, and connected structures. And so when we designed our house, we wanted to keep within what our neighbors were doing. And as such, that's how we derive that information. Along with that is we have maintained all of our setbacks but our front yard. So our sides are actually increased. We've actually gone over and above our side yard requirements, not by a huge amount, but larger. And our rear yard setback, we are well within that as well. The front of the house is actually inside the front yard requirement, but the porch itself, which is an open covered porch, that does fall outside of the front yard setback, which is one of the variances that they are in support of. So overall, our massing would fit within the envelope. We are well under our coverage requirement. we, sorry, I just want to check something here. Sorry, we're allowed to be 30% coverage, and we're just over 21%, 21.1% from a coverage standpoint. So our footprint could be significantly larger in this, on this development if we wanted to build a much larger house and reduce the second floor. But that's not the style or the character that my client was looking for. So that's basically for the coverage number, or gross floor area number, why we exceed it and why I think it makes sense and it's still minor in nature. To the second point, which is roof height, again, very similar scenarios as these houses I presented before you, 116 Calder Drive and 152 Calder, both went to committee as well in the same reflected years, 2011, 2014 respectively. The one on 116 Calder was granted 10.42 meters, which can be seen here. Which is significantly larger than what we're asking for. And the other house, I don't have that one in front of me, but I do have the variance application, which is here stated at 9.62 meters, which is slightly below where we are for our variance. I also know that the area wants to maintain below 10-meter requirements. I've done a number of houses on Maple Grove and surrounding areas. And through dealing with planning staff and through this committee, 10 meters has been kind of a cap number on other properties in general surrounding areas. So overall, that's the rationale for our variances. On a side note to those variances, these houses are our neighbors, because one of the additional comments was planning's, pardon me, planning's comment was that the character of the house didn't meet the same can we zoom out on that possibly? The character of the house didn't meet with the character of the street, but that's one of our immediate neighbors there, who's clearly larger. Something I'd like to point out, if I could quickly, is his roof height is his roof height from soffit to peak is 3 feet taller than ours, and his ground floor is also 12 inches or 1 foot taller than our ground floor in relationship to what we're proposing. And then our closer neighbor, who's 2 doors down, is this dwelling itself, which is the 152. And these guys went for the 9.62 meter height variance. As you can see, it's a 2-story house with a very wide berth on it. And when discussing the character of the neighborhood, these are a pair of our neighbors. So looking at these, our house is confined to a relatively square, compact size, and we aren't as large in width as these houses are overall. And I think I'm over my 5 minutes. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. And
Not a question at the moment for myself, but I just wanted to, this 10-meter hard cap, it's the first I've ever heard. We don't exercise hard caps. It's, you know, you have to present your application and we make determinations. So just didn't want to let that out there in the record that we some sort of have a hard cap. There's no such thing as a hard cap. It's all application driven and context. Any questions?
Noted.
Mr. Toski? Sorry. Sure. Mr. Charlevoix?
Just wanted to bring up one point within the staff report and you know, getting back towards your height variances, because when we're looking at height variances, we're looking at the everything. And it's true that there may be a building down there that for whatever reason, was granted a height variance. I don't know exactly why it was granted. But one of the things that the staff is addressing here is that the presentation of your building to the street is almost that of a 3-story building. And I was just wondering if you could speak to that point, because that seems to be the focus of what they really don't like about it.
Right. Well, The proposal that we have forth with us, which is one of the reasons I brought up the height difference between 116 and my building, is our roof height is only 7 feet, which isn't sufficient enough to put an adequate roof space up there if there's either concern for adding that or otherwise. The dormer features up there are relatively small within the size of the house and aren't functional of any sorts. If it was a comment from planning that they'd like to see those removed, that would be, we'd be okay with that. It's not my preference, of course, and I don't think it has an overall impact on the massing. But if it was something that helps satisfy their needs. One of their other comments I just want to elaborate a little bit more was the pitch of the roof. And I actually looked at my pitch, which is a 12-12 pitch, which isn't substantial. It's not like it's a 16, 18, or 20-12 pitch, like a mansard style or otherwise, versus the house on 116 that was approved, which is actually a 15 and 12 roof pitch, which I calculated here with my scale and such. So they actually have a higher pitch roof, and so the massing overall. So ours is down and relatively relaxed in comparison to the majority of builds in today's standards.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm hearing that you're asking the committee to approve your variances because similar numerical variances were approved on the street. When I look at these other two houses, they have varying roof heights. They have some single-story elements, some two-story elements, some turrets. What you're proposing is basically a two-story box with none of these design features and a house that's 800, 900 square feet larger than it's supposed to be. So I don't think you can use the other variances as a precedent, but I'm having difficulty. Maybe you can explain to me how a house that's 800, 900 square feet larger than it's supposed to be and effectively a two-story box with no design elements can meet the test of desirable.
Right. Well, the architectural style of the house itself, in itself, is the design element, right? It's an elegant brick with limestone, natural stone surrounds, paneling, and high-end materials. It's not. The design itself is classic architecture. It's a Georgian-style house with a couple of garages off to the side that follow the same criteria. It's not a bland house. It's not like the soldier courses and brick are the same color. There's articulation within the four separate planes. There's a garage, recessed side entrance, and then main portico and portico porch that pops out. So there is articulation in the variation of the roof. We haven't changed the elevation of it, but we've minimized the amount of roof that's actually there versus the house that's up there for presentation. The main mass of the house is significantly larger than what we're proposing. The main body of the house, this section, is no different in character than what we're proposing. They just happen to have an additional width on their particular property that we don't have. And even looking at the adjacent house that I was using as reference, same thing. I get that there's a portico there, a turret. The variation in roof lines aren't that significant on this house. As you can see, above this portion where the garages are versus that's probably the same plane looked at perspective. So if you looked at mine in perspective with the variation in planes, that would also give you the same illusion of varying heights. The turret itself is probably the exact same height as this, the 9.62 meters, and that's why it's stout looking, right? So from a perspective point of view, those different articulations would relate to mine in the same manner as if you looked at it in perspective, they would have different articulation in them.
We don't have these decisions or these plans, but it appears to me that to the extent there was height variances on these, it probably goes to the point Mr. Telowski is raising, is that they may have addressed only portions of the roof, not the entire roof structure. Like maybe on this one here, it could have been a turret on the right, and the roof on the left, the middle portion could meet the height. We don't know.
Right.
Yeah, we don't know. And just looking at this example and the previous example, you could reach the conclusion I'm suggesting that it's not the entire roof structure that needed a variance, it's only portions of it.
I would suggest it's the major part of it, though.
On this one here, I don't think so. This one on the top?
Well, that's the majority of your massing. there, and that's the roof line that you're articulating. This here is reduced, but that's probably at the same height as my 7 feet or 6 feet given. So it's still a two-story mass, and the majority of it's still out there. And same with this one. They've given the illusion of dropping a plate line and popping a dormer through it, but they've only dropped it 12 inches, right? And so my client isn't interested in having sloped ceilings in their rooms for the sake of having them. They're interested in an architectural element and a very classical style of architecture to fit within the property that they've bought, and in an area that, yes, we are asking for a few variances, but in relationship to the area, I don't think they are major. I think they are minor, and I think the house, when completed, will be an aesthetically pleasing house, which could be said for either these two or the opposite. It's all personal taste and preference of architecture at that point.
Okay, any further questions? Go ahead.
As I look at these drawings here, it would seem to me too that one of the reasons why your house is that high is you've chosen to start your finished ground floor area quite a
Actually,
distance above the established grade.
Yep.
Because, you know, to be honest with you, it's 11 feet on the first floor, 9 feet or so
That's
on
10,
the second
10
floor. It's
foot
not
finished
crazy.
ceiling. It's a 10-foot finished ceiling though, right?
Is it 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
sorry.
11
It's like-
foot floor to floor.
Oh, you're right, to the finished second floor.
So
Good
there's
point.
two things behind that. One is the existing house finished floor elevation is currently significantly higher than both my adjacent neighbors, and we don't know why that was. Our adjacent neighbors are 85, 89, and I'm 86. Our proposal is 86, 50, and the existing one was 86. Sorry.
Which plan are you reading from?
It's a different one. I don't think we have that.
Sorry, 8514 is our proposal. And yes, we have 5 risers at the front and back. That's because of sewer height on the street.
Inverts and all that?
Correct. I looked at that previously, and if we'd like to reduce the house, I could probably reduce it about 8 inches, removing 1 step from the house, and then effectively reducing my basement ceiling height, you know, which would take us down 0.2 of a meter.
Any further questions? Okay, anyone here this evening have an interest in application CAVA 192 2016 at 132 Calder Drive?
Hello, Mr. Chair, and my name is Zi Zhang. I'm at the right north neighbor of 138, I think. I'm from.
So you're at 140
140 Calder Drive. Yeah.
Calder Drive. Okay.
The main concern of the variance here is the height, because they are.
Just one second, sir.
Sure.
Your wife or your
My mom.
partner or
My
your
mom.
mom? We don't videotape
Okay.
because it's already been taped.
Okay.
So
Sure.
there's no need to
Sorry.
load up your data. I mean,
Okay.
it's already available anytime you want on live stream.
Okay.
So, you know,
Okay.
not that we're afraid or cameras, because I
Sorry
think
about
we
that.
all look good. But there's no need to waste your data. And
She's first time to came to the community event. So.
no, that's fine. Just sorry,
Yeah.
just wanted to.
The
save
main
you some-
concern is the height, because because right now the existing bungalow is only 1 story, which is no problem. And as we just move into the town for 1 year, we figure out there's a lot of like trees and really good, but sometimes it's block the sunshine because my room is right at the south side of our house. So I'm kind of worrying about if they building a structure like that like they showed stack boxes, and which is 10 meter high, around 10 meter high, which is 9.86, right? I'm kind of afraid if gonna affect my sunshine or several rooms in my house for like the winter time, because winter sunshine is sort of important. And another thing is wait. Oh, they skip for the variance number 3, right?
I'm sorry?
They don't do variance number 3 anymore, right? The setbacks.
No, they do. That was the last application, maybe you heard. But this application, there's no changes to anything that we see. So they do require variance number 3 for front yard.
Okay, because right now their existing driveways already like kinda front of the we have like, because the road is taking a curve at the in front of their house, so from the outside look, it already like a little bit forward from our house, from my point of view, and if they move the setback furthermore for 1 meter, I'm not sure what's gonna look like, because I might not see my house from when I get into the Calder Drive.
So just to give you the number perspective, they need a variance to 11.84 meters. The required is 12.3. So that's roughly slightly south of a half a meter.
That is numbers problem. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a half a meter variance from what's required.
Yeah. That's everything I worry about. Yeah.
Anything else, sir?
No, for now.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Members, any questions? See none. Anyone else wishing to speak to the committee on the application CAVA 192, 2016? Sir, Mr. Robertson? So the setback, is that to the porch?
Yes, the setback is to the porch. The house itself is actually at 13.34 meters to the closest point. The garage and main bulk of the house is set back even further, 13.8 meters.
So the setback's required not for the full extent of the house, but only to the extent that the porch intrudes into that minimum required setback.
That's correct. Our house is actually currently situated in line with the house to our immediate left and slightly behind number 40 to our right.
Okay, anything else you wish to add from what you heard, sir? We're not encouraging to repeat anything. We won't let you repeat, but just to respond to what you heard.
Yep. I hear his comments and concerns for the height variance, and I would like this application to move forward today. And as I mentioned earlier, I'd be happy to reduce that a little bit, even if it's, just let me confirm my number here. We are currently asking for 9.86. I could reduce that down to 9.3 through a few calculations and reducing the overall height of the house, bringing down my ground floor in hopes that that would satisfy the concerns of my neighbor and the committee itself.
So you wish to revise your height variances 4 and 5 to 9.3.
Sorry, 9.4. Sorry, my math was wrong.
9.4.
Correct.
From 9.86 in both instances. Members, you accept the revised application? We haven't seen what that means.
Right. Basically, we would be reducing the ground floor level, bringing that closer to grade, effectively bringing everything down the equal amount.
So what you see above grade will be the same. You're proposing smaller ceiling heights in the basement.
Correct. So, but the finished floor level is getting closer to the ground, effectively making the house shorter.
So you won't have 5 rises, you'll have 3.
Correct.
Okay, so we'll take that as an amended application to 9.4 meters. Okay, any questions? See none, we'll take this matter to committee. Thank you, sir. Who would like to move a recommendation on this application revised for variance 4 and 5 to reflect the 9.4 meter in both instances?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Hardcastle?
Excuse me. I continue to have some concerns with respect to the variances. The combined effect of the significant oversize at approximately 840 square feet or 78 square meters, in conjunction with the height of the building and the architectural design of the building, contributes to a massing that I think is not consistent with what we're seeing in the area. So I'm going to put forward a motion to refuse the applications as revised.
Discussion on recommendation? See none. So the recommendation is to refuse the application. Those in support? Those opposed? Okay, I oppose the refusal, so the application been refused, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move along to application CAVA 193-2016 at 195 Dunwoody Drive. Owner agent.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I'm the owner of 195 Dunwoody Drive. My name's Jenny Kinnaird. We are proposing a cabana structure in the backyard.
Okay, just before we get into the details, staff are recommending approval on this, yes? Approval. Is there anyone here that has an interest in application CAVA 193-2016 for 195 Dunwoody Drive? Okay, we've done our site visit, read the staff report, we're familiar with the application, and unless there's anything that you wish to add, any additional information you wish to file,
Nope.
We're prepared to proceed. Members, do you need any questions of clarification, any information? You're prepared to proceed on the application? Okay, so then we'll proceed on the recommendation on this application.
Thank you.
Who would like to move a recommendation?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Hardcastle.
having reviewed the materials and undertaken my site visit, I am satisfied that the requested variances conform to the 4 tests of the Act. I'll put forward a motion of approval, subject to 2 conditions. The first being that the proposed cabana be constructed in general accordance with the plans dated October 28th, 2016. And the second, that the approval will expire within 2 years if a building permit has not been issued.
Thank you. Discussion on that recommendation? See none. All those in support? No one opposed. The application is being approved. Okay, then we have application CAVA 194-2016, and we're going to take the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 applications in the bundle. They deal with, so that's application CAVA 194-2016 at 2400 Barronwood Drive, CAVA 195-2016 at 2402 Barronwood Drive, CAVA 196-2016 at 2404 Barronwood Drive, and CAVA 197-2016 at 2406 Barronwood Drive, and finally CAVA 198-2016 at 2408 Barronwood Drive. We'll take those as a group. Good evening. Can we have your name and address for the record?
It's Kelly Legace. I'm with Crystal Homes, and my work address is 2031 James Street in Burlington.
All right. And you're here on all those 6 applications?
I am acting as the agent. I believe it's 5, sir?
Okay, so are you up to date on all the information that's been exchanged? There's an email that was received perhaps late in the day yesterday.
We did not receive that. We only have the report that was given to us, provided to us about
Was that
3 days
provided
ago.
to the agent?
No, because
Okay, all right, so I'll read it to you, and give you a chance to reflect. This is an email from Selena Campbell, who's a supervisor, bylaw services, municipal enforcement services of the town of Oakville, to our Assistant Secretary Treasurer for application CAVA 195 to 198 on Barronwood. Sorry for the last minute comment. Parking Control has received a significant number of requests for parking enforcement on Barronwood. 74 requests to date from January 1st, 2016. I would note that there has been ongoing construction, which has negatively impacted on-street parking in the area. However, considering the number of parking enforcement requests, I have concerns with any reduction to required parking in this area. So that's the comment. So, planning staff are recommending support of the variances. Members, do you wish full presentation, questions? You've done your site visit, read your staff report. Is there anyone here that has an interest in this application other than the agent? These are applications CAVA 195 to CAVA 198 from 2400 to 2400 to 2408 Burnwood Drive. Seeing none. Okay, how would you wish to proceed? Yes.
Just to confirm, there's 5 units, right?
There's 5 units in the towns. It's the last remaining block
Yeah.
in a site plan that was approved back in 2010. We had a subdivision agreement condition on this that we required a temporary turning circle, and we just received approval from the road construction department of the town that we could take the turning circle out. So we're just looking to basically finish off our site plan, finish off our phase 4 of the development
Right.
here.
And the zoning requires 0.25 parking spots per dwelling, which I guess, simple math here, but 1.25 spots, hence 1. Where would you put this if you could?
Unfortunately, we can't in this subdivision. Originally, this was planned for not to have a rear lane on it, but the town came back to us during the planning stages and wanted these 5 blocks to have a rear lane. So we now have to go with a condominium instead of just having as street townhouses, and that's what requires the 0.25 in the street, not street parking, but basically visitor parking. We do provide 2 parking spaces per unit, one in a garage and one on a space beside the garage. But in terms of visitor parking, the town of Oakville does allow street parking in this area, and other residents have been accommodated. We believe that the complaints that have gone to bylaw are because there is a development to the north of us that's actually being under construction. So a lot of the workers have been parking in essentially our turning circle as well as in that area and have been in above that. So I can't imagine that the residents would have been happy with the workers parking all in there, but we didn't really have an ability to enforce it without problems with the other developers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Seeing none, okay, we'll take this back to committee. Who would like to move a recommendation on these package of 6 applications? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mr. Telowski, thank you. Thank you for taking lead on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'm satisfied this group of variances is very technical in nature. This is the last block in a development that's been designed in accordance with the blocks in the vicinity, and I'm satisfied that the design for the on-street parking will be appropriate once the construction is finished. You can't put enough parking spaces in a mall at Christmas, and you really can't have enough parking spaces during construction. On that, Mr. Chair, I'm going to move the applications as all 5 be approved as applied for, finding they meet the 4 tests of the Planning Act, making subject to development proceeding in general accordance with the drawings provided, and that building permit issue within 2 years.
Okay, thank you. Discussion on recommendation? Seeing none, all those in support for the approval of the 6, I guess, simultaneously. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes. All those in support again? No one opposed. Those applications have been approved. Okay, so application CAV 162-2016. This is application at 367 Pine Avenue. It was deferred from our September 27, 2016 hearing.
Good evening, my name's Ashley Armstrong. I'm the agent on behalf of my daughter Julie for this house. It's an 80-year-old house, single story, wooden frame. We're going to knock it down and rebuild. I have been working with the planning department to put in this house according to every variance that what we came up against, and so right now this is where we stand.
Okay, so let's just see before we determine if we need any further presentation. Is there anyone here this evening that has an interest in the application CAVA 162-2016 at 367 Pine Avenue? Okay, I see none. The recommended condition, if it's to be approved, that the proposed dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the plans. Members, do you have any items to clarification? You read the staff report, reviewed the application, familiar with the area and the characteristics. You've done your site visits. Any questions? Seeing none. Is there anything you wish to add to the application?
No, I wish to apologize for not turning up at the September the 27th meeting, which was deferred. I didn't think I had to, so I'm just apologizing for that.
Well, that's life gets in the way sometimes. It's understandable. Okay, we'll take this into committee. Who would like to move a recommendation? Mr. Kyle, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move a recommendation to approve the application that is set before us. I believe that the variances do meet the 4 tests and under the Planning Act. The dwelling is very consistent with what is available in the neighborhood in terms of size and massing, and and there is no objection from neighbors that I note, and in addition to that, staff is in support. I'll move a recommendation to approve, subject to the condition that the proposed dwelling be constructed in accordance with the plans as submitted. There is no date stated by staff, so I'll leave it as that. And our standard condition that approval will expire within 2 years from the date of the decision if the proposed dwelling has not proceeded and/or building permit not issued.
Or ask them to reply. Discussion, recommendation? See none, all those in support? No one opposed. Approved, subject to those 2 conditions. Sir, your application has been approved. Application CAVA 158-2016. This is at 225 Maurice Drive.
Good evening. My name is Saba Al-Mathnou. I'm from QBS Architects, 1670 Bayview Avenue, Unit 501, Toronto, Ontario.
Thank you.
We are seeking just 2 variances.
Okay, just before we get you presenting, see if we need a full presentation. Is anyone here this evening that has an interest in application CAVA 158-2016 at 225 Maurice Drive? Okay, we've done our site visit, read the staff report. We're familiar with the application and just need to know if there's anything you wish to add to the application.
Nothing really. We get
Let's just see if any of the
positive.
members have any items of clarification, anything of interest, or they may require a presentation. Members? Do you have anything to clarify? Seeing none? Okay, well, we're ready to proceed on your application. Who would like to move a recommendation? Thank you, Mr. Charlebois.
Mr. Chairman, having visited this site, and this is not the first time we've seen this building, and seeing the changes that have been made here, taking note of the fact that the town is in agreement and that the public has not commented on this, I believe that this new redesign does meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act. I'm going to recommend that it be approved, subject to the condition that the proposed dwelling be constructed in accordance with the plans dated October the 7th, 2016 is submitted, and subject further to the condition that this approval will expire 2 years from this date if the proposed development does not proceed or a building permit is not issued.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Charlebois. Is there any discussion on that recommendation? Seeing none, all those in support? No one opposed. That application is being approved.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, we have application, our last one on our agenda tonight, CAVA 143-2012, at 3358 Lakeshore Road West. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Cheeseman, Russ Cheeseman. I'm a solicitor for the applicant, Dr. Sorial. With me is David Riley, land use planning consultant with SGL Consultants Limited, again for the applicant. I don't believe there's anybody in the room.
All right, well, let's just see. Is there anyone other than the two fine gentlemen here have an interest in application CABA 143-2012 at 3358 Lakeshore Road West? Okay, seeing none. As you know, sir, in situations like that where there's some concern expressed by staff, we ask for a presentation, and we'll give you your 5 minutes.
All right, sir, and we've been here a number of times, and we're back again. This time, we're back with an application that was deferred from the last time. The drawings that we tried to walk on last time were submitted. I'd just like to point out where we're starting from. This time around, the zoning reviews come back. There is no longer a variance that's being sought with respect to lot coverage. The lot coverage variance is gone. It's down now to 24% and change. Everything else remains the same. As we indicated the last time, we're here with respect to a front yard, a setback that we're looking for of 6.47 meters. And the members of the committee will recall, if we can put the drawing up on the board, that the lot itself is set back a significant distance from the sidewalk on Lakeshore, because Lakeshore here takes a large curve. Much of this land, as I understand it, was acquired by the city some time ago. That nobody knew where Lakeshore was going to curve. They've redesigned it. Lakeshore is finally built. And the distance from the sidewalk to the front of this building is going to be 22.5 meters, which means the distance from the sidewalk to the front lot line is about 16 meters. Give or take. The rear yard and the amount of rear yard setback that's given is in excess of what the bylaw requires. And the reason why the building is located where it is because of the requirements of the Halton Region Conservation Authority and making sure we stay out of their restricted area on the lot. Halton Region Conservation Authority has no objections to this proposal. There are no objections from any other consulting accommodating agency. The only comments that we're getting negative are from the planning department. With respect to the other variances that are being sought, there is in the new bylaw, there is a variance being sought with respect to a maximum projection of an eave of the difference is 0.8 as opposed to 0.6, and that's in the front yard only, again, where the front yard has been reduced to 6.47. It's a minimum overhang and doesn't meet the bylaw. The other place is the minimum height of 9.5 meters being sought. And with respect to that, I have it? All right. Is the drawing that has been submitted shows that the height of the building is being met for the extent of the roof, save and except for the one dome feature at the one end of the property. That's an architectural feature, and we'll show it to you here on the drawing. It's here, so it's just this portion here of the building. It's a dome, it's an architectural feature, it's there for architectural interest, it's part of the design, and that's the only portion of the height that exceeds the bylaw. That variance is being sought. That leaves us with the final variance, and the final variance is one with respect to floor area ratio. And the floor area ratio variance that we're being sought, that is now the volume inside the building, that is now within the coverage figure of the bylaw, much like the one that you heard earlier today on Beechwood was Beechwood the second application on the agenda. It's all within the building. It's within the coverage. It's 4%, give or take, under both bylaws, the old bylaw and the new bylaw. And I would point out to committee that this property, when you look at it from the street, from the public realm, from Lakeshore Boulevard, the boulevard that's in front of the lot, for purposes of setting the context of where the house sits, forms part and parcel of the lot. That is, it sits out there. I would dare say that anyone in the public realm could look at this building from the public realm area and say, it's over by 4% in floor area ratio. It doesn't exist. That is just a mathematical calculation. And if my client owned a normal right-of-way back off Lakeshore, which was at one time proposed, there was going to be an acquisition from the town of a certain part of that land, that roadway that fell through because the town had some concerns with its own right-of-way and some trees that were there, and they wanted to make sure that they kept control over that. So they, God bless them, they kept it. The deal didn't close at the behest of the town. So if we had acquired that land, we would have been under the variances, under the FAR, easily. This is not a large building, and I would point, like a large home by Oakville standards. It's a big home, but it's not by Oakville standards. And I just want to ensure that the one thing that I see that arises in the planning staff report that I want to comment on is that planning staff is getting the variance application that's before you all tied together with the site plan process. This is a house that has to go through site plan. We have to go get site plan approval on this house because of its location being so close to the water. So that's a second process. And I would point out to you that when I went through the report that was prepared today, the last pages of the report point out for applicants so that everybody understands. General notes for all applicants. The last point, the applicant is advised that the comments provided pertain only to zoning and are not to be construed as a review or approval of any proposal for the site.
Where are you reading from, Mr.?
The last page of the report, sir, that formed part and parcel tonight. It's the general notes for all applications, as opposed to any special conditions. The applicant is advised that the comments provided pertain only to zoning and are not to be construed as a review or approval of any proposal for the site. The review will be carried out through the appropriate approval process, at which time the feasibility/scope of the works will be assessed. That's the site plan process. We'll deal with any site plan issues at site plan. I'm here seeking a variance, 4 very small variances, in my respectful submission, both in terms of magnitude and, more importantly, whether or not they're minor from what adverse impact the granting of the variances have. The height, there's nobody in opposition. The neighbors know about this application. The neighbors are not objecting to this application. There's only one neighbor to object to. With respect to the context of this house being where it is, set back a long way from Lakeshore, with the park beside it, somehow being justification for the fact that we shouldn't have another 4% of FAR in it, it boggles my mind. Because if you go to the other end of the park on Lakeshore, the other entrance to the park at the far end, what abuts the park at that end? An 8 to 12-story apartment building. At that end. This end, you got a 2-story house sitting out in a park because it's set so far back from the street.
Okay, sir.
Those are my submissions, sir. These are absolutely minor variances.
So if I could just add one thing, actually.
Okay, wait, you got to give us your name and address just before you go.
No problem.
So they're talking about, just so we can understand what's happened here, because it's a question I have, and maybe that will help you as well.
Okay.
What exactly were the changes through the last application? Because one of the comments here on the proposal, on the third last page, says there was changes to eliminate, like we heard, the lot coverage.
Right.
And there was a change to variance 2 to reduce the matter from 36.55 to 33.3.
There it is, sir.
You agree?
There it is, sir.
And
There,
there's
we got it
variance
up.
number 7 that was modified to take it from 33.35 down to 30.33, and that's consistent with what you told us?
Right, sir.
So those are the 3 changes. In all other respects, things remain the same.
Right, and there are no variances with respect to east or west side yard setback.
Okay.
There's nothing.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sir, if we can have your name and address for the record, and we'll...
So David Riley with SGL Planning. Work address is 1547 Bloor Street West in Toronto. And I actually just wanted to clarify what you just clarified, actually, just the change from the September application to now. And I think we just covered that. Essentially, the house was reduced by approximately 600 square feet. Well, depending on whether you look at the new bylaw versus the old bylaw.
Sure, yes.
So over 2 levels, and what that had the effect in doing was reducing the lot coverage overall, no longer needing that variance. It also had the effect of increasing the side yard setbacks. Now, we didn't originally need any variances for side yard, but the
the shrinking of the house, it wasn't done just by removing one room. Essentially, the same layout of the house exists, but every room was made a little bit smaller to reduce the mass. So meeting somewhere halfway between what the maximum bylaw requirement is versus what was originally proposed in September. So overall, it was kind of a massing reduction exercise, and that's where we are today.
And again, that's the last one since September. There were previous applications or previous iterations of this that have come down over time. This is a 2012 application.
And why is it your eaves have to encroach more than what the bylaw allows? What's driving that?
I can answer that. So it's just a function of the architectural design of the house. Because we're seeking a reduction in the front yard, the required front yard, any encroachment beyond 0.6 meters into any required yard is required under the bylaw. So it's just an architectural treatment the way that the overhang over the porch is, I believe.
And it's 2 centimeters, 0.2.
20 centimeters.
20 centimeters, 20 centimeters, right, 20
20
centimeters.
yeah.
0.2 of a meter.
Okay, any questions? Yes, Mr. Charlevoix?
The side yard setbacks, what were they reduced from? Just remember.
So if you look at the attached,
There it is, okay.
originally they were 2.47 and 1.27.
Right.
And so they're now 2.95 and 1.71.
So you made them comply?
No, they were never not in compliance, sir.
Well,
We
they
just
were
made them
never in
bigger.
compliance, you just increased them.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
they were always good.
They were always in keeping with the bylaw.
Okay, thanks.
Any further questions? Yes, Mr. Telesky?
Mr. Cheeseman, I have no issue with any of the variances except I need you to help me on the floor area to lot ratio.
Right.
This will probably be similar discussion from the last meeting.
Yeah.
With recognition that you have gone to effort to reduce the size and the mass.
Right.
But I guess I find myself in a consistent position with Calder or from earlier tonight,
Right.
where we have a house that's 700-800 square feet larger than the bylaw permits.
Yeah.
And a design that comes with a significant mass.
Mm-hmm.
And no effort to try to mitigate the extra mass of the variance through design features that would eliminate these two-story walls that seem predominant in the design.
Well, sir,
So I need you to help me with why this situation is different than the Calder situation, which you would have heard earlier tonight.
well, sir, in my respectful submission, the FAR is there, it is a measure of mass, but it's a mathematical calculation. So I think you got to look at it in the like each application, the reason that the committee exists is to look at, applications on an individual basis. On this application, we've got a building design that has got a lot of architectural features built into it, and it still has to go through the site plan process, unlike Calder. So we get through this process that allows the site plan to go. There may be changes to the fenestrations and the door. All that may change. The elevation may all change through site plan. So we're just trying to set the limits of what site plan will revolve around. And to me, it's the tree fall in the forest analogy. The fact that this house has got an extra 600 square feet, give or take, or 700 square feet on 2 floors. If I can see it, if it impacts me, then I should be concerned about it. And then the question is there an impact? And then, of course, is there a negative adverse impact? And I'm saying here, you're a knowledgeable person who knows all about FARs. And if you walked down the street, if you were in the park and you looked at this building, you wouldn't be able to tell me that it was 4% over. So, the tree falling in the forest, that doesn't make a sound. Does this impact anybody in any way? If it impacted somebody, if there was a neighbor saying, gee, the house is too big. Because if you look at the planning staff, they're saying it's too big. Too big in relation to what? There are all kinds of large homes in Oakville. It depends on what the context is that they sit in. And this case is unique because of the setback from the lake and the fact that you're so far removed from the public realm on Lakeshore. And I say, this is a house that's sitting there sort of in a park-like setting. You're not going to notice the square footage. And the idea that they're saying it's too big, somehow because from the public realm it's going to look too big, and it's along Lakeshore, this adjacent to this park, and I just turn my head and I look the other way at the end of the park and I see a 12-story apartment building. You know, it fits. There's nothing, it doesn't, it fits in a heck of a lot more, I would say, than the 12-story apartment building next to a park. So, to me, I think the context of this, on this individual site, in this individual instance, is something that cries out for relief, because as you know, there's no needs test under Section 45. Could my client build a house in compliance with the bylaw? Of course he could. But for 4 years, he's wanted to build something a little bigger, a little bigger. He's come down, he's come down, he's come down. We're at the point now, we're sort of, last graphs, we've gotten rid of most of the variances. I think he and his architect have worked hard to get it down. And the negativity I think we're getting from the staff report, it's only the planning staff. I mean, when I say it's only the planning staff, I mean there's no other agencies that have been concerned. They're talking about things like general intent of the OP. I say it meets all of those. Mr. Riley does as well. The general intent of the zoning bylaw, it's to contain the mass. If this house will fit on this lot with no impact on anybody.
Okay.
And I think that's the test.
Thank you, sir. Any further questions? Okay, again, is there anyone that has an interest in application CAV 143-2012? Yeah, this is all coming back, 2012. It's been a while.
4 years.
Yeah, okay, so we'll take this matter in committee and
Thank you.
issue a decision.
Thank you.
Who would like to move a recommendation on this application? Go ahead, Mr. Sharma.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I was your fiercest critic the last time, maybe not. But taking into account, I mean, I've been to this site now 3 times, and taking into account my site visits, the comments from the planning staff, the basically lack of comments from the neighbors, and the arguments that you've put here in front of us, and looking at the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and one of the things that if you recall in the first meeting was, and you didn't really bring it up this time, but I do remember it. I mean, this is a big pitch because this is a building on the water. It's rather unique. I know Calder was brought up here, and there are a lot of similarities, true, but I think there is a bit of a pitch for this thing being unique because of where it sits. I'm looking at what you've done. When you first came here, I said it was a beautiful building. I just said, look, guys, it's just too big. I mean, you're maxing out on all the envelope. You've exceeded the coverage. And at the time, you were asking for 1,336 extra square feet. I mean, it was 26% bigger than what you were permitted, and you were already permitted 5,000 feet, 5,100. I think what you've done here is great. I think you've taken the feedback that's here, some of the feedback from planning, and what you've done now is this classic one where you're within the building envelope. And I might stress that with respect to the side yard setbacks, by even increasing those, you've even made that building envelope even smaller. So I'm actually going to make a recommendation that this application be approved as submitted, and subject to, I know it's going to be something about site plan, but I don't see it in here. Subject to the condition that the drawings be approved through the site plan approval process to the satisfaction of the Director of Planning, and subject further to our standard condition that this will expire within 2 years if a building permit has not been issued or construction has not proceeded.
Okay, thank you for those detailed comments. Discussion, recommendation? Mr. Talowski?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to add, perhaps surprisingly, I'm going to support that motion. I'm quite pleased that the applicant did go away and try to only come back with the variances that were purely technical or, in their view, necessary. And I'm convinced, partially thanks to Mr. Cheeseman's impassioned plea, that in this context, that the variance on the gross floor area, which, as I stated earlier, which I thought was the only true variance that wasn't minor or technical, it is appropriate in this context.
Any further discussion on recommendation to approve subject to those two conditions? Seeing none. So recommendation to approve with those two conditions. All those in support? No one opposed. Your application is being approved. Okay, we have the minutes of November 8th, 2016. Who would like to move those minutes? I'm just trying to remember who was that were not here. No, there were three. And John. Well, hang on. Can I have my folder, please? I'll let you know who's here. Thank you. November 8th. Oh, I was here. Just Mark and John were away. So who would like to move the recommendation? Okay, all those in support that were here? Okay, those minutes are approved. And motion to adjourn. All those in support? Adjourned at 9 o'clock.